Na gut, ich habe mir jetzt was überlegt. Wir sollten erstmal schauen, was wir für Waffen verfügbar haben. Hier leichte Sturmgewehr. Äh, Was haben wir denn hier am Start? Wenn jetzt Wucht konnte uns vielleicht helfen. Taktische Schrotflinte. Diese Wissenschaftswaffen könnten vielleicht auch ganz nützlich sein. Also würde ich mal sagen, packen wir hier dieses kleine Schwesterchen aus und auf geht's in den Kampf. Wop, 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 wop. Und dann wieder auf. So. Scheiße, jetzt hat er uns erwischt. Die scheiß Drohnen. Komm, den müssen wir doch. Oh nein. Nachladen. Jetzt hat der alte Sack echt unsere Crew schon wieder down gebracht hier. Aber vielleicht können wir ihn auch so schlagen. So. Jetzt müssen wir nur wieder darauf achten, dass wir seine Drohne erstmal ausschalten. Ey. Das ist ein harter Kampf, aber dafür, falls wir ihn besiegen. Gott. Aufladen. Scheiße. Oh, scheiße, direkt. Komm schon. Alter Falter, ist das ein Kampf, ey. Aber dafür fühlt sich das halt richtig verdient an. Und das ist... Es ist echt ein schöner Kampf eigentlich. Und schon. Der ist ja fast down, Mann. Ey, geschafft. Hier. Und hier ist der Schlüssel. So. Die alte Crew ist wieder vereint und los geht's. Pünktlich geht's hier los und weiter. Ey, Luxus hier.
Why won't you just jump?
Den nehmen wir gleich mit. Ey, wir haben es geschafft. Ja. Unglaublich, wir haben es echt geschafft. Ich freue mich total. Genias.
You don't know how glad I am to see you. You did the right thing. Akande was a monster. Her death was much deserved and long overdue. And you lunatic, you broke into the board's own fortress just to rescue one doddering old man. You are absolutely out of your mind, and I can't begin to thank you enough.
Ist alles in Ordnung mit dir? Was haben sie dir angetan? Was der Witze? Der Vorstand hatte nie eine Chance gegen mich.
I'm all right, thanks to you. Akande wanted my cooperation. I'm quite sure she would have beaten it out of me if you hadn't arrived. You've broken the board's stranglehold on this colony, and you saved my life. But there's still so much we have yet to accomplish. You and I are going to have to work harder than ever to save Halcyon. I'm afraid the situation is far worse than any of us ever anticipated.
Noch schlimmer. Hört sich gar nicht gut an. Toll, gerade wollte ich ein paar Drinks kippen und feiern.
Earth has gone dark. We haven't received a single message in 3 years. There's been no communication, no signals, nothing. 2 years ago, the Earth's Directorate's frigate disappeared on their way back to Earth. We don't know what they discovered when they arrived, or if they arrived at all.
Sheesh.
They haven't exactly been hands-on around here anyway. So there's one less rubber stamp to worry about.
Earth is humanity's home planet, Miss Fenhill. The psychological effects of losing our original home will be devastating.
You mean we're all alone out here? Really alone?
I'm afraid so, Miss Holcomb. Halcyon is the only home we have left. Returning to Earth is no longer an option.
Shit.
We're in serious trouble, my friend. Do you know what this means for Halcyon? We can't rely on Earth for support anymore. We've been cut loose. We're entirely on our own.
Vor uns liegt eine Menge Arbeit. Wir fangen besser an.
Yes, certainly. I'll help however I can.
Was glaubst du, ist passiert?
I don't know what happened, but something must have gone horribly wrong. I don't know why Earth's gone silent. I don't even know if Earth exists anymore. We have no connection back to Earth, and return is likely impossible. We're completely alone out here.
Woher weißt du das alles?
I heard it from Akande herself. She tried to pressure me into joining her side, you see. Tried to make me realize that all hope is lost, and that we are alone. She was half right. We are alone. and we're going to have to fend for ourselves, because there's no telling what's happened to Earth.
Du hast erwähnt, dass eine Fregatte verschwunden sei.
You might have heard of the Earth Directorate's frigate. Half the colony's entire military was on that ship. They were returning to Earth when they vanished without a trace. That was 2 years ago. We haven't heard a word from them since. Whatever happened to Earth likely happened to them.
Scheiße. Du meinst, es hätte keine neuen Nachrichten mehr von der Erde gegeben?
Yes, Akande mentioned as much. Earth hasn't sent us a single message in 3 years. No one knows why. Akande had kept the truth to herself, perhaps with good reason. Can you imagine what would have happened if word got out? We'd have utter pandemonium.
Eine Relaisstation in der Nähe von Skilla hat seit 3 Jahren keine unverschlüsselten Nachrichten mehr empfangen.
Yes, you were the one who reactivated that relay station, weren't you? Any message from Earth would have arrived unencrypted. It's been 3 years since our last message. The board tried using drones to contact Earth. Every one of those drones sent back the same encrypted message. Earth is completely silent.
Da wäre noch was. Ich weiß über die anderen Kolonisten Bescheid, Phineas.
I wasn't trying to hide the truth from you, but after all you've done, I owe you an explanation. Yes, I experimented on the Hope's colonists. Each of my experiments ended in catastrophic failure. Each of my subjects died in agony. You are my first and only success. I didn't tell you about the others because I didn't want to burden you. My failures are my own to bear, not yours.
Ich war also ein Experiment. Wie die anderen, aber ich war erfolgreich.
Thank you. Perhaps in time I'll learn to forgive myself. My apologies. I need to get a hold of myself. We've far more pressing issues to worry about right now. If you have any more questions, ask me. I'll answer as best I can.
Keine weiteren Fragen. Wir sollten anfangen.
Yes, we do. You've done a marvelous thing. You've succeeded where anyone else would have failed, including me. We must begin the revival process immediately, starting with the Hope's brightest minds, and then we're going to fix this damn colony, one problem at a time.
Yep.
We're going to need a leader, and I can't imagine a better person for the job than you. What do you say, old friend? Will you help us?
Ich habe alles sorgsam geplant. Bei dem Vorstandsvorsitzenden in meiner Tasche wird niemand mitkriegen, dass eigentlich ich das Sagen habe. Kannst auf mich zählen.
When I revived you, I thought you were going to help me save this colony. I was wrong. I had our roles reversed, you see. You're the one who's going to save us all. I'm just the one who set you on your path. You're the best thing to ever happen to Halcyon. If you want to take it upon yourself to lead this colony, you have my support. We're not a colony any longer, are we? Our last connection to Earth has been severed, and so we have been set free. Our future is uncertain, and no one knows what tomorrow holds. Exciting, isn't it?
So viel dazu.
Teaches that everything in the universe happens according to the grand plan. But the stranger that arrived in Halcyon was an unplanned variable. From the moment he landed in Emerald Vale, his actions altered the course of history. The events on Tartarus brought about the end of the board's authority. But the board's mistakes would haunt the colony for decades to come. The damage they left behind would require the work of a generation to repair. Dr. Phineas Wells began reviving a handful of the Hope's colonists. Engineers, scientists, technicians, and intellectuals. They were among the brightest minds the Earth had ever sent out into the stars. The Hope scientists and engineers woke up in a colony descending headlong into total collapse. With no way to return to Earth, they had no choice but to band together and devote themselves to the cause of saving Halcyon. The people of Halcyon were nothing if not hardy. In the absence of the board's authority, Many of the colony's settlements banded together with a single purpose in mind: survival. Life was especially hard in the years to come. Some towns dissolved by attrition and starvation, but most of them found a way to carry on. In the years to come, Halcyon was forced to reckon with its newfound freedom. The board was gone, and for better or worse, the colony was responsible for its own destiny. Between MSI's worker-centric policies and the iconoclast's manpower, Sanjar and Zora were able to rally many of the Terra 2 townships to their cause.
Na, sehr schön.
MSI's workforce swelled, and the iconoclasts enjoyed a significant surge in their ranks. The board was too distracted by infighting and internal politics to stop MSI from becoming a powerful corporation and a refuge for townships that might have fallen through the cracks.
Haha.
Sublight Salvage adapted to the changes in Halcyon, shifting their business model to suit the times. Their claims of legitimacy were scrutinized, but ultimately unquestioned. Lilia Hagen would continue to protect her family as ruthlessly as ever. Adelaide McDevitt replaced Reed Thompson as the leader of Edgewater. She and her followers transformed Edgewater in their image. Anyone loyal to Reed was pressured into leaving town, and those who stayed behind adapted to her way of life. Adelaide transformed the old cannery into a new garden. The nearby Edgewater Cemetery provided a convenient source of fertilizer. As for Reed Thompson, it was said that he lasted exactly 2 days outside the walls of Edgewater. Years later, a marauder was found in possession of his hat. Under the leadership of Junlei Tennyson, the Groundbreaker held firm against corporate influence. The ship's mechanical stability gave Junlei the time to educate a promising generation of engineers, schooled in her family's traditions.
Na, sehr schön.
The future of the Groundbreaker looks promising. The rediscovery of the Hope and the abandonment of the lifetime employment program forced Byzantium to come to terms with some uncomfortable realities about the state of Halcyon. While Byzantines were reluctant to surrender the luxuries they'd grown accustomed to, the board's diminished authority gave them little choice in the matter. Nearly everyone had to learn to make do with less. Some even had to get jobs. It was a dark time indeed. Your influence shifted Ellie's perspective. She finally admitted, albeit grudgingly, that she just might need other people. Sometimes. With a steady income from the life insurance payouts, she was finally able to afford a ship of her own. She hired a small crew and flew supply missions to communities on the fringe. Some of them were even legal. Life in Halcyon was sobering for Felix Millstone. The grand revolution he dreamed of never came. There was no great awakening for the colony, no celebrations in the streets. There was only the hard, desperate work of trying to repair a broken colony. Felix never had a head for numbers, but if there was labor to be done, he was there to help. Eventually, Felix realized that the work of a revolution was done with 2 hands. As much as he enjoyed his adventures aboard the Unreliable, the vicar, known as Max, eventually decided that it was time to move on, to live out the life he had sought so long to create. He knew there were many in the colony who carried burdens much worse than the ones he had struggled with, and he devoted himself to easing their suffering wherever he could. He only ever took up arms again to defend the defenseless. Unshackled from a lifetime of striving and fighting the universe and himself, Vicar Maximilian de Soto was finally at peace. Once the matter with the Hope colonists was resolved, Junlei bashfully asked Parvati if she'd like to join her permanently on the Groundbreaker, and Parvati enthusiastically, if somewhat awkwardly, agreed. The stories of her
Sure.
adventures spread across the colony, and Parvati soon found herself the center of attention. Having served as the engineer of a renowned spacecraft, tramp freighters and wildcat miners sought her out by name, and in no time, She was a fixture in the Groundbreaker's mechanical ecosystem. She and Junlei were never far apart. As hard as she tried to drink them away, Nyoka's memories eventually overcame her. Traveling with the crew served as a constant reminder of the family she'd lost, and so she eventually returned to Monarch to get back to what she found most comfortable: the deep end of a bottle and the far end of a trail. Few have seen her since, but travelers often swear they hear her and her machine gun in the night, screaming swears and spitting bullets. The SAM unit that accompanied you spread awareness of the product line's superior sanitation and maintenance capabilities across what was left of the colony. This led to a boost in SAM unit sales. Did you know that SAM units are the longest-lasting, toughest-acting cleaning solution in Halcyon? Minister Clark was released from house arrest, and his contact with you gave him a sense of renewed purpose and vigor.
No.
Once it became clear that no help would be coming from Earth, he threw his considerable efforts and talents into helping Halcyon manage the crisis before it. Chairman Rockwell served as the public face for the changes in Halcyon to come. Whenever you needed strings pulled or a voice to sell a policy change, Rockwell was only too happy to oblige. As for Dr. Phineas Wells, he spent his remaining years in his orbital lab. He eventually came to terms with his own past and was able to forgive the mistakes of his younger self by devoting his remaining years to serving the colony. In the end, Dr. Wells was able to save every scientist and engineer aboard the Hope. Over the next decade, nearly all of the Hope's remaining colonists were successfully revived. Halcyon saw a period of rapid technological and scientific advancement. Breakthroughs in dietary supplements saved the colony from starvation. Geoengineering projects and social reforms began to change the structure and character of the colony. Dr. Wells laid the groundwork for the project to save the colony, but he would never live to see the fruits of his labor. He passed away a few years later. His work was carried on by the scientists and engineers he revived. Today, Halcyon has stabilized. The people of the colony work hard to adapt to their new circumstances.
Ein gutes Ende.
Nearby colonies send aid and supplies. Life will never be easy in Halcyon, but for the first time in its history, there exists a sense of real, genuine hope about the future. And what about you, the unplanned variable in the history of Halcyon? Long after Wells passed away, you carried on his work with more energy, determination, and brilliance than he could ever muster. The years that followed were hard, but Halcyon survived by the efforts of the Hope's most promising colonists, the greatest of which was you.
Oh.
No one knows what's happened to Earth, and no one knows what the future has in store for Halcyon. All we know for certain is this: the name of the Unreliable and that of its intrepid captain will remain the subject of countless stories for years to come.
No. The Outer Worlds. Mir fehlen gerade echt die Worte. Das war ein schönes Spiel, wenn auch ein bisschen manchmal verwirrend, finde ich. Es war halt sehr viel auf einmal, das da so auf einen zu kommen. Vielleicht war die Erwartungshaltung durch Fallout New Vegas von Obsidian halt auch ein bisschen zu weit gestreckt. Aber so allgemein sehr schönes Spiel und ja, wunderbar. Und das Ende jetzt mit Phineas fand ich jetzt auch super. Schön. So, wenn es dann einen zweiten Teil gibt, der vielleicht ein bisschen, ja, anders gestrickt ist, vielleicht noch ein bisschen einen draufsetzt, dann finde ich es auf jeden Fall geil und werde auch den nächsten Teil spielen. Aber erstmal hat sich der Captain eine Pause verdient. Ich muss sagen, ich bin echt zufrieden damit. Also, ich bin wahrscheinlich unter meinen Möglichkeiten da geblieben. Und hätte noch viel mehr Waffenmodifizierungen und Charakterfähigkeiten und so einsetzen können und noch viel mehr Quests durchziehen können, aber ich bin trotzdem zufrieden. Schön. Und jetzt lasse ich euch den Abspann genießen. Danksagungen von Obsidian. Sehr schön. Eine D&D 5e-Gruppe? Auch nicht schlecht. Patrick Stewart. Oh. D&D-Fans, das ist sehr schön. Ach ja, und ich habe gehört, dass ein zweiter Teil in Arbeit sein soll. Muss ich auch mal auschecken hier. Könnte ich mir dann auch vorstellen, zu spielen. Und als nächstes würde ich sagen, spielen wir Oblivion erstmal ein bisschen weiter und schauen, wie wir da durchkommen. Dunkle Bruderschaft läuft und in die Shivering Isles würde ich natürlich auch gern hier mal eindringen. Und mit dem guten Sheogorath einen Wein trinken. Ne? Beziehungsweise hätten wir in Oblivion noch sehr, sehr viel zu tun. Was wir eigentlich auch fangen könnten. Und dann mal schauen. Ich weiß es noch nicht. Man muss ja ein Spiel nicht von oben bis unten völlig durchzocken, aber so einiges ist machbar. Nicht jeden kleinen Quest, aber so die ganzen Main Stories, die ganzen Hauptfraktionen kann man alles durchzocken. Knights of the Nine haben wir dann ja auch noch. Irgendwie hat es gerade meine Audio-Settings, weshalb auch immer, verstellt. Irgendwie schleierhaft, wieso? Komisch. Ich habe dann so eine 15-minütige Pause gemacht zwischen der letzten Aufnahme und dem jetzt hier. Nachdem wir erst mal so komplett gegen den Roboter angerannt sind. Also irgendwas hat zwischendrin in OBS zusammengehauen. Oder? Ja. Ich habe an meinem Audiointerface nichts verstellt. Ja, jetzt kriegt es ein bisschen wieder Fallout und New Vegas Vibes. Zitate. Score Editor. Musik abgemischt von John Rod. Perrin und Gordon. Ja, das wäre auch noch so ein DLC, das wir spielen könnten, aber erst einmal bin ich froh, dass ich endlich mal überhaupt Outer Worlds durch habe. Ich glaube, das ist das längste LP, das ich je gemacht habe hier. Oder das LP, für das ich am längsten gebraucht habe. Also nicht folgenmäßig, sondern ich glaube, das könnte ich sogar noch 21 angefangen haben. Oder 20. Ich muss echt mal schauen, wenn die erste Folge rauskam. Es ist halt auch privat so viel passiert bei mir. Naja. Aber es wird alles. Ja, es ist halt auch, in diesen Abspannen sieht man ja auch, wie unglaublich viele Leute bei den Spielen beteiligt sind. Und ich finde es echt impressive. Und vor allem, wenn dann Leute wie der Dude von Stardew Valley Spiele erstmal allein vollkommen auf die Beine stellen, ist man gleich irgendwie doppelt geflasht. Die Danksagungen. 2020, Hashtag never forget. Ich fand es auch sehr liebevoll gemacht, also so ein komplettes Universum zu stricken, das ist auch keine einfache Sache. D&D lässt grüßen. ist manchmal schon schwierig, einen Charakter zu schreiben, aber wenn man dann Dutzende Charaktere schreiben muss und die ganzen Relationships zwischen diesen Charakteren, dann ist das sicher eine Herausforderung, die nicht klein ist. Bei Kansas. Color Grading und Finishing Finn Jäger, etwa ein Deutscher im Team. Production Assistant Franziska Ewigleben, klingt auch deutsch. Das ist ja auch interessant. Und alles mit der Unreal Engine. Wise. Das AMD-Pfeil-Logo. Ah, nicht schlecht. So, na dann. Ich bedanke mich bei jedem, der zugeschaut hat. Egal welche Folge. Ihr seid spitze und bis zum nächsten Let's Play. Und Minecraft läuft. Oblivion. Dishonored. Ich muss mal schauen, ob ich mein englisches Fallout 4 weitermache oder das auf einen anderen Channel draufziehe. Ja, bis dahin, man sieht sich und tschüss. Love you.